So I'm making this video to show you how you can use your smartphone or tablet to visualize bat echolocation calls from a bat detector. The bat detector I'm using in the demo is a BatBox Duet. This should work equally well with other bat detectors, but this is just the one that I've been testing out on. So in order to connect my phone to my detector, there's a couple of things you need to know. The first is that with this bat detector we've got two channels of audio coming out. So we've got a left channel and a right channel, and we're interested in the left channel, which is the frequency division. So a smartphone can't sample audio at a very high rate, so that means that it cannot record ultrasound directly, but because the bat detector is using frequency division, the audio frequency that's coming out is within the sampling rate of my smartphone. So I use one of these. This is a stereo to mono converter. So stereo comes in this side, and then it splits the left and right channel to two mono ports here. I stuck a little bit of tape on the left channel, so I know which one that is, and that goes in here. So now what's coming out of this side is just the frequency division output that I want. From the smartphone end of things, we're going to use the microphone capabilities of the headphone socket here, and this is expecting a microphone that you might get on the lapel part of your headphones. So it's expecting to send power to that microphone. Now this the BatBox Duet and all bat detectors are powered. So in order to get over that mismatch, we're going to use this cable. This takes the headphone jack that goes into a smartphone or tablet, which has the microphone and the left and right audio channels in it, and it splits it into the microphone component and the audio component. This cable also has an attenuation bit of gear in it, which stops the power that the phone's trying to send to the microphone, and that's key. There's a link to this and all the other bits of cable in the description below. So this goes into our phone, and then all we need to do is connect these two up. So I've just got a standard stereo jack to jack cable. This works. You can also get little connectors, which are basically just this sort of bit up here. Again, links in the description below. So this goes into the green bit here, and this comes into the left channel. Like that. Now there's a few different apps you can use. There's loads of apps out there, and I'd recommend that you go away and have a look and see which one works best for you. This is an iPhone 4S. The one I found is best for this is Spectrum View. Spectrum View has both a free and a paid-for version. The paid-for version is about £5, I think, but the free version's got a whole bunch of functionality as well. So the version I've got here is the Pro version, and as you can see, we've got our spectrum coming through, and if I produce ultrasound here with my fingers, you can see that's coming through real easy. I'll show you a more detailed view of that in a moment. So that's working with the iPhone 4S. So now I'm going to show you with an iPad mini. This is obviously a lot better because it's got a much bigger screen. It's much easier to see. So I'm going to open up Spectrum View here and get Spectrum View running. So here it goes. You'll see it's running a lot slower than it was on my iPhone. I'll show you how you can change that later. I'm going to plug in the bat detector, and now you'll see once again we've got the ultrasound coming through. So that's the setup here is exactly the same as the iPhone. So now I'm going to show you the Motorola G. So this is an Android phone. Obviously the previous two were Apple, and the app you're going to use here is slightly different. It's called Spectral View. The app we used on the Apple devices is called Spectrum View. Again, links below. This one also has a premium and a free version. What you can see here is the output from the internal microphone on the phone. So this is just my voice. Again, with exactly the same cables, we just plug that into the headphone socket. This takes a couple of seconds just to register that we've got a new input here. So now we've got the input coming in from the bat detector, and if I twizzle my fingers, you can see that coming through. So now we're going to look at these apps in a little bit more detail. So I'm going to show you Spectrum View here on my iPhone. I've got the Pro version on here, so it's got a few additional features. This little button here lets you make the screen bigger and smaller, which is quite handy. If you get an interesting call at some point, you can just hit the pause button, and then you can investigate that. You can expand the y-axis here, the frequency spectrum. If you tap on the screen, it gives you a readout for that position, giving you the kilohertz, help you with your species ID. You can also look at the spectrum analyzer. So this gives you a frequency spectrum. So you've got the frequency range along here, and amplitude up the side. So you can also record things you hear on here as well. So if we go to the recording tab, we can hit record, and that will start recording. I turn my detector off there. So we can record stuff coming through. Now once we've captured what we want to, we just go back into recording and hit stop. And if we want to see that again, we can just scroll down and hit play, and that'll play back the recording that we had. So you can see here me rustling my fingers together. We can go into this playback tab, and we could scroll to a certain time point we're interested in. We can rename it, so here it's got a rather unimaginative name of recording number 5. So we can rename that whatever we want to. Let's call that test. And then it appears here in my list of saved recordings. So you can save a whole bunch of recordings onto your phone, obviously given the memory that you've got on your phone. Here's a 45 pip that I heard not long ago. So you can get some sort of decent recordings on here. If you want to share your recordings, you can go here into the playback menu, onto the recording that I'll just stop playing that, onto the recording you're interested in, and then you can share it by uploading it to SoundCloud. So if you've got a SoundCloud account, which I do, you just log in and then you can upload it. So that's really nice for sharing stuff. You can also go further across. We've got more stuff here. We've got settings. This is where you can change things that influence how quickly the spectrogram scales across. So you'll see mine was moving across pretty quickly there when we were recording, which isn't the default settings. So the default settings have the sampling rate much lower, and when you do that, you'll see that the spectrogram comes across a lot slower. So I find having that sampling rate right up the top, and that gives you a really fast spectrum, which is good. And you can change all sorts of other things here to do with visualization and all sorts. I'll let you can play with that. Also with the playback menu, it's worth saying that you can view stuff here in your that's in your sort of saved folder for Spectrum View. But if you keep going back, you can also play stuff from your iTunes library. So I could play some Josh Groban here, and you'll see this in your visualization as well. Or you can also go and you can play stuff directly from your SoundCloud as well. So at the top here there's a Spectrum View library and SoundCloud library. So SoundCloud library will link into my SoundCloud, and you'll see I've got some other sort of calls on here, some nocturnal stuff which I can then download, and then I can play this back. So this is quite good in the field if you want to sort of review stuff, review calls that you've heard against the other stuff. Sorry, I pressed the wrong button there. So now that's going to appear in my Spectrum View library. You'll see it's now here at the top, this nocturnal call, and you can see this call here, and you could go and zoom in and compare this to a call that you just heard. So I think Spectrum View is a pretty good app. It's I'd say it's worth buying the premium version. It's only £5 something. It's not too much money, and I think it gives you quite a lot of additional functionality. Quite a lot of the stuff I've shown you here won't be in the free version, but by all means check out the free version, and then decide for yourself whether or not you're going to pay for the premium one. So this is a spectral view on the Android phone, on the Moto G. I've downloaded the Pro version, which allows me to change a few things. First of all, you get this scrolling view by default. So when this gets to the end here, it's going to start again from the beginning. And we can change that by hitting the scroll button here at the bottom. And when we do that, then the image is going to continue pan across. That's a bit better. Also, you'll see the rate at which it's moving is quite slow, so if you've got back calls, they're all going to be really bunched up. So we can modify that as well. So if we go into the options, we want to up the frequency to the maximum value we can get. And we also want to update here, we want to change the set update speed. We want to set that to the maximum as well. It still doesn't go as fast as it does in Spectrum View, but it's a lot better than the default. It's got a cool functionality which Spectrum View doesn't have on the Apple, which is this max value. So this is showing us the peak frequency, which is clearly really handy for back call identification. I've not used this out in the field yet, but I imagine that's a pretty cool feature to have. The other thing we can do in here is to save the picture. So if we had a back call, we wanted to save it, we can save that spectrogram here. So unfortunately this doesn't have the ability to record like Spectrum View does. It doesn't have the ability to share on SoundCloud that Spectrum View does. But it's still pretty good. Pretty nice visualization tool with this peak frequency feature here is pretty nice. So that's pretty much all for Spectral View. Feel free to download it and have a play. So in terms of costs, this setup is pretty cheap. This cable here costs about £9. The stereo to mono adapter costs about £3, and the jack to jack cable you can pick up for around £5. The premium apps were around about £5 too. So in total my setup came to around £25 to £30 once I bought all the cables, the premium app, and paid for postage and stuff too. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video.